Should we sell? Should we move? Is this the right time? The market's weird. The economy is weird. What's going on? We're 75. We're 65. We're retired. We just had a new baby. The family's growing. The kids are out of the nest. Making the decision to sell your house. It's a big one, right? It's kind of huge. Sometimes it's obvious and you're like, we just need a bigger house, right? We just had twins and we need another bedroom, right? Or sometimes it's been just you and hubby for 5, 7, 9 years in a 3,000, 4,000 square foot home, and you want to travel the world and you don't want to take care of a big house anymore. In fact, you don't even want that vegetable garden. You don't want to see it again, okay? Maybe you just want to go out and sit on the patio and read all your favorite books, hit the golf course once in a while, socialize with your friends, and not take care of something like a huge home. There's all kinds of things that go into the decision of selling your house. You're second guessing yourself. Maybe you're third and fourth and fifth guessing and you're like, I don't know how to do this. Look, I play these little psychological games with myself when big life decisions happen. I offer this up to anybody working with me because when you put it on paper, it's right in front of your face and it becomes a little bit more obvious. I literally get a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle, pros and cons, and I start making a list out in the open, on a table I pass all day long, or by my bedside, and I start going, okay, pros, cons, why are we thinking this? And there's going to be one glaring reason why usually. Like, this is why. It's a monetary reason a lot of times. Or sometimes it's just, you're 68, you're 75, your health is different, okay? And you just don't want to work that hard anymore. Maybe you have a great social life, or maybe you want to go start a great social life. You play tons of golf, or you're still running and exercising, and you don't want to come home and take care of a big house. Everybody kind of gets there. So if you're second guessing the process of whittling down how to come to terms with selling your house, I suggest the 2-column process of the pros and cons, or why and not why. Okay, whatever you want to label it, it really, really, really works. Now, I think this process is like eating a buffalo. It's one bite at a time. You got to break it down. And one of the easiest ways to start breaking it down is kind of to discuss it with your children, with other people that might be in the picture, and start gathering information. Don't keep it to yourself. Put it out there. I'm thinking about selling the house. These are some of my concerns. I put it down on paper. You're working with your husband, or maybe you're by yourself. A lot of people start making this decision when they don't have a spouse any longer for whatever reason. And it all kind of implodes on you and you're like, whoosh, I don't want to take care of a house in a 3-car garage and 2 acres. You want simplicity. You want to travel. Okay. So chisel it down, start making lists, and start talking to family members. Because one of the things that stresses people out that I hear about the most when people call me, sometimes they call me, have me come over to their house a year away from them moving. Their house is pretty full of stuff. And that starts to feel like a big weight on your chest. Like you're smothered by stuff. The second you decide that that stuff doesn't matter anymore, call up the grandchildren, say, come get what you want. Half of them don't want your china anymore or your linens. Okay, so don't be disappointed. It's a 2000 thing. Okay, plan on giving it away. There's stores where people still collect china and all that stuff. Start the process. Give it away first. Go to your neighbors if they have kids. If you have old golf clubs and you're not going to play golf anymore, go say hi to your neighbors. Put it on Craigslist. Do you know how easy it is to give away things on Craigslist? You make a post, use your camera to take 4 or 5 pictures of whatever this object is, and then follow it through on Craigslist. You'll be surprised how easy it is to either get $50 for something, or they even have a free section. And when I post stuff on the free section, I tell people, come by in an hour. Honestly, the second you hit the post button, there'll be phone calls. So where do you live? And you'll be like, well, that table's out on the curb. Come and get it. Okay. You can get rid of stuff and start to relax a little bit more and have clarity of where you're going when you start kind of getting rid of things around the house. Now, I know there's precious stuff, okay? Sentimental things, you want to see them until your last breath. I totally get that. So keep them aside. No one gets them, but anything that's not really a big deal anymore, or it's taken up space, or you don't want to pay for a mover to move it, don't. And if you're moving a state away or 2 or 3 counties away, I suggest if your couch is not like a $10,000 couch and it's old, get rid of the stuffed furniture. Because if you bought a cheap couch, with which a lot of people do, just go buy a new one. By the time you spend the time and money to get rid of it, to put it in storage for a while, whew, that's another thing. Don't put things in storage. Either sell them and buy a new one. It's actually a lot less expensive because storage is $250 a month now. 3 or 4 months later, you still haven't moved it out of there and you could have bought a new couch or some new chairs or what have you. So even televisions are cheap anymore compared to what they used to be. So start just doing your stuff collection and your why do I want to move collection. And then give yourself the gift and the fun of going to some open houses. Go to some smaller homes. Look at cottages. Go to some new builds that are 1,200, 1,500 square feet. Look at those neighborhoods. Start getting an idea. And if you went every other Sunday for an hour to open houses, even just where you live now, you'll feel like, wow, I didn't, because you don't know. I mean, all the different architecture, the things are going to be like one level homes. They're being built a lot now. The 2-story stair thing, not a thing for baby boomers. People don't want them anymore. So start hunting, start giving yourself the gift of getting rid of things. You can use Craigslist, you can use Facebook Marketplace. There's lots of places to get rid of things. You can do the yard sale. I'm not into that, but hey, if you got cool stuff and you want to spend 4 hours doing that, it's a great way to do it. Okay. Ask your family members first, though. And look, this is a big, 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 big deal. The next thing. Okay. I don't know how long you've lived in your house, but you need to have a financial strategy. You need to talk to a CPA as soon as you start thinking of this stuff. Okay. Forget about the China. It's the most unimportant thing. All right. Compared to capital gains taxes. All right. If you bought your house in the 80s, in the 70s, there's stuff you're going to have to pay taxes on. And you just want to know that up front. Okay. Get a hold of a realtor as soon as you start thinking this and get an idea of what it's going to be like to sell your house now in 2023 or in 2024. What's the market like? How do you go about working with a realtor? Like, start asking questions, start putting it out there, and pretty soon the obvious decision will happen. It's kind of relaxing, actually. Once you get one question answered after another, it's freeing by a long shot. I help people with this all the time. I walked into a lady's house a year ago and she went and bought the biggest bags at Home Depot, like the hugest black bags. She had like 6 of them, one in her living room, the bedrooms, all over. And she'd been going through closets and throwing away the games that were ripped and torn, and she didn't even know if all the pieces were there. She filled up her car and went to the library and dumped off books, and she made a trip around. And then I told her, you don't have to do that. There's actually companies, places that'll come pick up your stuff because it's a women's shelter or it's a veteran shelter or it's something, and they have trucks. Okay. So a lot of times you don't have to be going about town dispersing your things to Salvation Army. There's actually nonprofits that have their own truck, and they'll come get that little side table and that little lamp that you haven't used in 7 years because no one's come to visit you, and now you're going to move next to them in Arizona or something. Okay. And you don't need that furniture anymore. So there's people that will pick the stuff up, and usually your realtor has all these resources in their magical digital Rolodex. Okay. I know I have tons of them and I help people with this all the time. Anyway, that lady cracked me up because her bags were full and she said she'd been taking them out to the curb, and the garbage man, I told her my rule is get rid of the junk and the crud and things you absolutely will never think about again first. And that's what she did. She said she must have brought 9 bags out to the curb. I was so proud of her. Her closets were not cluttered. She said that her grandchildren were coming over and she was giving them, I don't know, plates and utensils and things out of her kitchen. It was really fun to witness because a lot of times I kind of give this advice, but I never really see it in action. But I went over there to bring up paperwork over and I saw her going about throwing things in bags. She said it was so liberating and so much fun. All the things she thought she was just going to miss till the day she died, she just didn't care about at all. So it's kind of cool. So don't second guess yourself when it comes to selling your home. Start doing some preparation. Talk to a CPA. Talk to a realtor right away. Don't just talk to them once, maybe go back and visit them, get a relationship going so that you feel comfortable with like the decisions you're making. And then if you're moving out of state or out of the county or something like that farther away, find a realtor in that state or that county way ahead of time. And you can talk just like we're talking here. You can talk over the phone and they can tell you what's going on. They can get you connected to their listing service because realtors don't like the Z word, Zillow. Okay. That's like old information and very inaccurate a lot of times. So if you're moving to Sonoma County, I put you in my listing service so you can see the exact same houses I look at all day long. As soon as they get posted, they'll come into your email. All right. So I look at it. You can text me and say, hey, Anita, I just saw that house in the new development for seniors on the other side of town. I'm going to go check it out Sunday. Okay. So there's things your realtor can kind of set you up to give you some tools. You definitely want to hit your CPA because there's going to be tax consequences, right? And then tell your family, tell your friends, get organized, make a list, stare at your list. Sometimes I stare at lists for months. And I'm like, you know what? It's kind of becoming obvious why I want to do what I want to do. Or it starts feeling better as to why you want to, why you've been yearning to make a change. But it doesn't have to be a whole bunch of heavy lifting and insanity and stress. One little thing at a time and get the professionals involved in your decisions, the CPA and the realtor and a realtor where you're going. Do all that up front. The second guessing, it'll become like an exciting adventure. You're going to be like, I'm doing this. I'm moving to Arizona. I'm moving to Sonoma County. I'm moving to Hawaii, or I'm moving out of my 3,000 square foot home into a little condo and I'm going to go on 4 cruises next year. Never been on a cruise. I'm retired. I'm just going to go with all the girlfriends, or my husband and I are just going to take off. We don't have a dog anymore. The grandchildren are grown. It's time to play. And we want to come home to a nice place with a lot of our stuff in it, but no more 4,000 square foot house. Sounds good, right? Sounds like a nice decision. So start with the little things. You eat that buffalo one bite at a time, and the obvious will kind of float to the top. It will not remain a burden. It'll be obvious to you after a while. So I wish you luck. And my number's on the screen. If you're moving to Sonoma County, I'd love to help you out with all these decisions. And you know what? The next video is coming up right there. Okay, so is this helping you out? Give me a like and hit the subscribe button because I put out videos like this all the time, every single Friday.